What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. And, this whole situation with Doja Cat, right? And it seems like Doja Cat, if that's how you pronounce her name, I guess she's a singer. Again, man, this whole new generation of singers and shit, man, like, I really don't like these new people, but whatever. They're famous, and so you got to deal with it, right? From the no talents like the Lizzos to probably this young lady, you got to deal with it. And her birth name, it has a South African last name, right? And I kind of want to talk about that in a minute because I've been to South Africa. I want to talk about her father. But, Doja Cat has been known for some of her weird tweets, right? And some of them which are called homophobic for back in the day. Talking about her absent father. And he said he lied on her. But then, here's what's going on, right? There are some old offensive videos of her that emerge online in which she's pretty much talking about, she hated her blackness. She liked, her being thick and light skin features and stuff like that. But, she was actually like on a group chat or whatever on Tiny Chat, all right? And she was there with some alt-white people, anti-black people, and they were making a lot of jokes about blacks, and she was, laughing at them, and, people are upset. But I want to talk about this because this is going to be a little divisive, but I can tell you why I think this is the case. And this is going to be a different take than a lot of other people, right? But Doja Cat can talk about black people, not be offended by it, make black jokes. And the reason why she can do that is because it's simple. She doesn't consider herself African American, right? Now, I don't want to cause division between the African American camp and those that are African, but we got to have this conversation. A lot of people who are, coming from, South Africa and they moved to the United States, or in her case, she might have grew up American, but her father's South African. They don't identify with the culture, okay? They just don't. Like even in America, there's a lot of Africans who are, staunch Trump supporters. A lot of, first generation Caribbeans and Africans are very much involved in, conservative politics, right? And on the right wing. And they can blame blacks for everything. So a lot of times when you see a lot of blacks at Blexit, or you see a lot of blacks that are coming up in conservative ideology, a lot of times those people might not be African American, right? Some of them are, but some of them are not. And the situation that we got to understand is people who feel like this are not African American. Now, I want to talk about the song called Didn't Do Nothing. Now, she made this song that was in response to Sandra Bland's murder. And pretty much what a didn't do nothing is pretty much what white people say, or white conservatives. It is kind of like a racial slur for a black criminal. Pretty much like the hashtag free my nigga, right? It's pretty much what they say, like, he didn't do nothing, right? But we know he did something. And that kind of energy is true, all right? We just got to be honest. African Americans will use that term, all right? We will say that he didn't do nothing, but the way that white conservatives use that is they use that as a slur against blacks. And anytime African Americans sit around and use that terminology to describe other blacks, I would consider those people self-haters. And the group of people that typically do that, you do have African Americans. I mean, I've seen Anthony Brian Logan use that. I've seen people, his comments and chats on Facebook use that terminology. But a lot of times, people who might use that terminology are first generation African, citizens, U.S. citizens, or other people, and simply because they don't feel like they are talking about them. That's the only way you can explain it. Like I talked about the N-word, right? There's, when you call an African the N-word, and if you're white or if you're Asian, you're not really going to insult them, because to them, they don't identify as that. They'll probably look at you like you're crazy, because, they don't have that kind of experience as an African American would. They come from a different culture. They come from their own language. Their family has told them where they come from. Maybe they've been there. So the N-word doesn't describe them. So, and some of them, now you have a lot of Africans who are down with the cause, right? They're in the fight with African Americans and other blacks. You have those, Africans and Caribbeans that are woke, don't get me wrong. But for those who are not woke, let's just be honest, they will sit back and they will have conversations about this with whites as if they are different. Now, the thing about blacks, and they get their N-word wake-up call, right? And I want to talk about this. Let me talk about Curtis Hill, okay? Curtis Hill is the type of Negro that I'm talking about. Although he's African American, he's going to prove my point. Curtis Hill is a black person who is the Attorney General of Indiana. He's married to a white person. He is a staunch Republican, all right? He will have the same talking points as a Doja Cat. And see, here's the situation. He blames black people for everything, all right? He just does. And shout out to my man Leo Dunson, because Leo Dunson, who is a popular YouTuber, took a stance against white conservatives, and then they X'd his ass up out of there, right? And they called him nothing but a child, less than a child of God. But this is no different with Doja Cat, okay? She's just like Curtis Hill in this regard. She thinks that she's not like the typical Negro. She's different. She ain't like the rest of them. And she wants to be accepted by other people. That's just what it is. Maybe because she's mad at her dad, maybe because she's mad at black society, or at the time she was. People can change. But then you get a Negro wake-up call like Curtis Hill did when he got, supposedly alleged against those white women that said he did touch them. And then now you're getting mistreated as the black person. Now you that didn't do nothing. Because that's what Curtis Hill is saying, right? I didn't do nothing. No. Now they're using that same terminology as you. And see, a lot of black people think they're different until they forget the joke's on you. And see, Doja Cat is finally going to understand that one day, right? You think a lot of blacks out there are always trying to impress the other groups, as if other groups are going to look at you differently. As if you are the token black person, like, please accept me, because I'm not like such and such. I'm not like such and so. I'm not like them. I don't like blacks myself. I don't like the black community. And then when something happens, when you talk about other black people like that, then when people disrespect you, what's the number one thing they want to do? They want to cry racism. What about that South Carolina pastor that's a Trump supporter? What's this guy's name? I want to say this guy's name is Mark Burns. Mark Burns is, pretty much, when he was exposed for all his lying, okay, and he was he's a Negro, married to a white girl, white lady, and he was talking about this and talking about that. And when it came out that he was a fraud, he didn't have what he's supposed to have. And again, he's talking about Hillary Clinton's in blackface and all of this and all of that. Then he wanted to cry racism. Oh, you guys are just picking on me because I'm black. No, Negro, you can't do that now, because again, remember, you're on the same side as the people who talking about the black folks. And that was a scandal that came out about Pastor Mark Burns. And all it takes is for one time for Doja Cat or somebody to get your Negro wake-up call. And then when you don't have nobody in the black community to come back to, like a Curtis Hill, then it's over. Because once the white community is done with you, that's it. There's no coming back. Once they are done with you, they're done. Don't believe me? Ask O.J. Simpson. Done. So, if Doja Cat, gets canceled, like I said, maybe she might feel differently now. Things can change, people can change, but it's out there, right? So guys, what do you think about this? Should Doja Cat be canceled like Joe Biden? Subscribe, hit the bell, check out the first comment pinned to the top. It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson with another episode of the Celebrity Junk. As you know, the buffoonery remains at an all-time high. Check out my, Instagram, not Instagram, but go to my first comment pinned to the top. All my information is there. Get your Black Men the Perfect t-shirts, Patreon, all of that. We are out. Peace.